tax rate is too high, it will prompt people to evade tax.
Yeah, I like money also. I mean,
This is where you get practical insights.
but then in Ghana, we are trying. We'll get there.
Hello, and welcome to Build for Business podcast. B for B for short. This is your go-to podcast for everything business in Ghana. Whether you're starting a business, you are trying to manage your growing business, or scaling your business, this is where you get practical insights and real experiences to help you navigate the Ghanaian business landscape. My name is Rosalinda, and I'm going to be your host for today. Today, we are going to be discussing something that has been on air for a while now in 2026, the 2026 tax reforms. Is it good news? Is it bad news? For yourself, for the average business owner, for the average Ghanaian? Join us as we unpack this topic and see how we can navigate these reforms. So, to help you with that, I have two wonderful experts who are with us here in the studio to help us discuss and dissect this topic. They are in the person of Mr. Noel Jamesi.
Hi, Rosalinda. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you here as well, Noel. And in addition, we have Esi Okarewa Ahinadako.
Hi, Rosa. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you both, and I trust we are going to have a very insightful discussion. So, moving on, I would like us to talk about what the previous VAT landscape used to look like pertaining to businesses in Ghana. What did it mean for them? What were they supposed to do? Let's look at that first before we move on to the reforms that have been implemented. Essie, could you please help us with that?
Okay, so previously the taxes were a bit complex. When we take the VAT, it was at an effective rate of 21.9%. So we had the VAT of 15%, and then we had the levies that were the Get Fund, NHIL, and then the COVID. Because of how it was structured, it was a bit difficult for business owners to be compliant because one, they had to understand how to calculate and make sure they don't make any mistakes, and also it affected the prices of the goods and services to the end user. So that complexity as well as the high rates was a bit discouraging for business owners.
Okay, so we'll take a look now at what's new. What is this 2026 tax reform about? Mr. Noel.
The tax reform essentially is about reducing the tax burden on businesses and the final consumer. That's
Right.
basically what the reform seeks to achieve. So, first of all, it has one eliminated the cascading effect. Some of the tax have been eliminated. This, in essence, means that those tax burden will not be transferred to the final consumer. So that's basically what the tax reform is about.
Thank you very much, Noel. Now, I think we'll look into more detail about that since we are talking about the reforms and its effect. I understand that the effective rate has changed from 21.9% to 20% currently. What are the components of that 20%? And how different is its calculation from the previous 21.9%? Mr. Noel, I think I'll have you on that again.
Right. Yeah. So, first of all, the tax as we have it now, the reform one eliminated the cascading effect of the previous VAT system. When I say the cascading effect, the previous VAT system, it was a tax on a tax in the sense that the levies are charged on the sticker price of the product. When I say sticker price, it means that the price itself of the product. So the levies are charged on it, and then they are added to the cost of the product before the VAT is also charged. So in essence, the levies are also in quote VATed. So the levies, which includes the NHIL, the GET fund, and the COVID-19 levies, were VATed. That was what the previous tax system was doing. The new reform takes away this struggle in the sense that when you charge the levies on the sticker price of the product, they are not added to the cost of the product before the VAT is applied. The VAT is applied on the cost of the product also as well. So let's assume that you have a product costing 2,000 cedis.
Right.
The former regime, the GET fund, the NHIL, the COVID will be charged on the 2,000 cedis. So an assumption, you charge 5% on 2,000 cedis, you are going to get 100 cedis.
Right.
Okay. So you add the 100 cedis on, you add the 100 cedis to the 2,000 cedis, you get 2,100 cedis. Then you apply the VAT on the 2,100. What the new regime is doing is that first, when you charge the GET fund, the COVID, and the NHIO. So COVID in essence has been eliminated. I'll come to that. So you
Right.
charge the GET fund and the NHIO on the 2,000 cedis. You are not going to add it to the cost of the product, which is the 2,000 cedis.
Okay.
You just apply the VAT on the 2,000 cedis as well.
Okay.
Unlike the previous regime where the VAT is applied on the summation of the cost of the product and then the levies. And for a point of correction, the levies, the 2.5 NHIL, the 2.5 GET fund, the 1% COVID, that's 6%, not 5%. What the new reform also did is that the COVID now has been eliminated.
I think it's
So
about time.
it's about time. So we are no more paying COVID levy. Okay, so now the levies are just GET fund and then NHIL.
Right.
All right. So these are some of the reforms that came with the reform, the VAT system.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
that wonderful answer. Issy, I'll come back to you now. Is this looking good for myself as an average business owner? Say I sell cloth, fabrics. Does it apply to just every kind of business? And is it affecting me in a good way or in a bad way?
Okay, so for an average business owner, if let's say you sell cloth, it means that the price of the cloth would have reduced. So in a sense, it's going to be good for you because now your clients or consumers would be able to afford the cloth in maybe higher quantities than they would have in the previous system. Also, having the change helps you to also attract new clients. I mean, if someone found your product a bit costly in the old regime, they would be able to maybe afford it now that the prices have reduced. I think I'll have to get the second part of your question again.
I was asking whether it's looking good for business or not, whether it's affecting them or it's an advantage to them as well.
Yes. So, in addition to that, because of the increments in the threshold, it means that if you're a business and you are earning, let's say, around 200,000 to 750,000, you will not be charging VAT. So, in the old regime where it was around 200,000, means someone who may not be working on a large scale is still forced to charge taxes, which might affect their profits at the end of the day. But now that it has gone up to 750,000, I think it's within a safe range of businesses that are doing so well and then have enough turnover coming in at a period. So it is good for businesses.
Right. And I get the highlight of what you just mentioned that it doesn't apply to every business owner,
Yes,
only those who meet
the
the set.
threshold. Yes.
Correct. Thank you very much. And so it is being said all around that the levies are now input deductible. What does it mean in layman's terms? What is input deductible? Mr. Noel.
So before I come to your question, there's something. So Isio Korowa made mention about the 750,000 threshold.
Right.
So for the business owner watching us, the 750,000 doesn't apply to every business. If you are in the service sector, the 750 threshold does not apply to you. For those in the service industry, you don't have a threshold. So even if your annual revenue is 5,000 cedis, you are required to charge VAT.
Is that fair to them
Um,
though?
I mean, taxes itself are not fair.
Okay.
I mean, that is why they are progressive taxes. So,
Okay.
I mean,
So, say, would it apply to a small business owner? Probably someone that offers massage services. Doesn't mean even though I don't meet that threshold, I'll still be paying VAT.
the act says that those within the service industry do not have a threshold. So, I mean, what can we do?
That's sad.
Right. So, getting back to your question, what does input and output tax means? All right. I would like to demonstrate this with an illustration. All right. Let's assume that I buy and sell furniture, and then I buy a furniture for 2,000 cedis, right? And per the new regime right now, it's only VAT covered, sorry, VAT get fund and NHIL, right? So if I buy the furniture, 2,000 cedis, the get fund and then the NHIL is 5%, which is 100 cedis on the 2,000 cedis. The VAT is 15%, all right, which is going to be about 300 cedis, if I'm not mistaken. All right. What input and output tax means that when you are buying the product, you will charge VAT, you will charge get fund, you will charge COVID-19. Sorry, you will charge NHIL. When you are selling the product to a consumer,
Mhm.
you would also charge the person VAT, get fund, and NHIL. In this case, the taxes and the levies you paid to the person you bought the chair for, who in this case, let's call the person your supplier,
Right.
and the taxes you are charging the consumer is what. So the taxes you paid to your supplier are your
Your input
input
tax.
taxes.
Okay.
The one you are charging your consumer are your output
Output
taxes.
taxes.
So when you subtract your input and your output taxes, the difference is what you will remit to the revenue authority.
Right.
So there are some cases when you subtract your input and your output taxes. Let's assume that your input tax is the VAT and the levies is 50 cedis after charging,
Okay.
and then your output tax is 70 cedis after charging, a difference of 20 cedis,
Right.
right? So it's 20 cedis that you remit
Remit.
to the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Okay.
So that's basically how input and output tax means. So previously, it wasn't like that. That's not how it was previously. Previously, it was the VAT that was treated as an input and
The
output tax.
right.
But the levies, which is the get fund and then the NHIL, what you charge to your customer is entirely what you will remit to the GRA. Okay. But in this
Right.
case, right now, what you will charge your customer, you will subtract what you also paid to your supplier from it, and then you remit the differences to the revenue authority. So that's basically how input and output taxes work.
I believe that's a very good initiative on the part of the government. And in the long run, is this going to affect the revenue we generate from taxes in any way? Is it going to help us as a country or not?
To that may be a bit difficult to determine because essentially we are reducing the taxes. So it may look like government is losing some monies in that regard. But then I look at it in terms of the increment in the threshold also means that companies that have higher earning power in terms of their turnover will now be paying and in some sort of way cover the low earning companies because now due to the increment in the threshold all of those companies that have higher earning power would be paying the taxes, the VAT, and then the levies, and then the small medium enterprises would be able to relax a bit and then scale up their businesses to get to the point where they would also be able to sustain or hold on or continue with the payment of the taxes. So it's a double-edged sword. You lose some, you gain some. But we are hoping that the government had other preparations in mind to cover some of those losses and then protect their revenues as well.
Now, I'd like us to take a quick break and play a little game.
Interesting.
We are going to look at wild business ideas, and I'll get your feedback or your take on whether it's viable or not. So, I guess since AC just spoke, she can talk about this for me. What do you make of a watcher business that delivers hot watching every morning to those who have pre-ordered in offices, in homes? Do you think that's real? It's practical?
Um, it's practical in some senses. I mean, it will be a very interesting concept to see having your wachi being delivered. Um, I mean, it's a wild thought, but these days any idea is possible with technology and all of that. It's something that we can do. I mean, it's something we can look at.
Hmm, interesting. Do you think we are there yet as a country? Can you start something like that in Ghana?
Yeah, I like money also. I mean, if it's something that would like if I weigh the cost and I realize it's something that will make you money from, why not? We can try it. Let's just hope that maybe some birds don't crash the drone in the middle of provide
Wow.
serving the wachi or something or giving it to a consumer. But then in Ghana, we are trying. We'll get there. We'll get.
All right. I mean, if you're watching us, you can leave your own comment, your own opinion on this business idea and perhaps implement it. Who knows? Okay, Noel, what do you think about an app, a mobile app, where you get to book ahead of time, probably before you close work, a seat in a church? What do you think about that? A seat in a church?
That's an interesting thought, and I believe it to be one that I'll love to see how its implementation goes. I mean, um, the party now in opposition. I'm talking about the political party now in position in Ghana. It was one of the ideas we were playing around to now. I think they started with the taxis to get them an app where they can, like what the ride hailing apps are doing right now. You can order a ride and then this thing. To be an interesting thought or something I would love to see work. But I'm struggling. It's not something I've really researched on, but I don't know a country. You see, for policies like this, before implementing it, you find out who is doing it. You benchmark your person against what the person is doing and see how feasible you can go about it. You see the problems they are facing and see how you can tweak yours. So, I mean, what I know in other developed countries is that you know that by this time this right is here.
Okay.
If you come later than that, the bus would have left. But I think that it doesn't mean that if they are not doing it, we can't do it in Ghana here. It's something we can explore and see how feasible it is. But for me, it would be interesting to have such a service in Ghana
I
here.
think it will bring a lot of
Uh,
relief.
we the Trotro
Yeah, the
champions,
social champions, we need it.
we need it.
Okay, thank you very much. And I would like to hear your final words to the business owner, an SME, on how they should effectively navigate these new implementations. What should they do? What do you advise they do? Let's hear it.
Okay, if you're a business owner, this is the right time for you to have your finances in check. So make sure you have good records of your income, your expenses, and then ensure that the services or products that you need to charge your VAT, you do charge them, you file on time, and then you pay on time as well. Even though we have a reduction, it doesn't mean that you have leeway to be non-compliant. This is the best moment for you to take advantage of all the resources. If it's an invoicing system, if it's even using our regular Excel, an accounting software, take advantage of all of those options and then ensure that you file on time, pay on time.
Thank you very much, AC. Oh, well,
Yeah, I think I agree perfectly with AC. I mean, with the aspect that has to do with getting accounting software, it's very important. I mean, I think in Ghana here you can get one for as low as 75 CDs, if I'm not mistaken.
mhm,
So per month. So it's one that we can businesses, every business should have. It helps you put your records in check. And also getting the software alone doesn't solve your problem. Okay,
that's
if
true.
you don't feed the software with the information it needs, you end up having nothing. So getting the software alone will not solve your issue, but make sure you input the data in it. And if I might say, I know that this reform has come with some challenges to businesses. I mean, there are businesses that are asking themselves that, okay, there are some customers that insist on getting a VAT for me, a
Okay.
VAT. I should issue them with a VAT invoice. So now that I don't meet the threshold, how do I go about it? We should understand that the Act has provided an option where even though you don't meet the threshold, you can be there is you can be enrolled on VAT, where you
VAT.
make an argument for the reason why you
Why
need
to
the
pay?
VAT. You need to issue VAT invoice. Government, in a sense, understand that taxes in itself can serve as a disincentive, and an incentive. Government can say that VAT is 50%, but we should ask ourselves that why is the government not saying that? If the tax rate is too high, it will prompt people to evade tax. And if it's too low too, government will not get its revenue. That is why it is important that government finds the right balance where it is not too high for people to evade and it's not too low for government to lose its revenue for developmental activities. So I believe this is the little I have to say. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much, Essie and Noel. It's been lovely having you today, and thank you for sharing your amazing insights with us on the 2026 tax reforms. Speaking about business softwares that could help you manage your finances, I recommend Built. It's your all-in-one digital platform for everything business finance and simple accounting on the go. So this has been Built for Business, and I'm Rosalinda, and I've been your host. Kindly like, subscribe, comment, and turn on your notifications so that you are informed anytime we make a post. Thank you for joining us today, and see you on the next episode.
Yo.